Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nigger K, Advocate of Law, a small law firm in Central Minnesota. How we doing, guys? Holy shit, I am so tired. But that doesn't matter. We are here. We are here to continue on with the Gina Carano lawsuit. We're going to keep going through this. We are at page... we're about halfway through, 28 of 59. We're going to keep going through that. We're going to, we'll see if we can get it done tonight. I would like to. I've been tangenting a lot, but I don't think I need to tangent as much tonight during this because a lot of it's going to be revisiting old points as I keep going. So I'm going to try and avoid that as much as possible. But we're going to soldier on through the suit. We'll get hopefully through the complaint. I'll give you my final thoughts. My current midway assessment is that this is not the best complaint, not the best case to bring against a Disney. It's not the best set of facts that we've got. A lot of the stuff that they're talking about here is based on this idea that Gina Carano's fired for her political opinion, which is probably true, and also that the California law protecting specifically political opinions will sufficiently protect her under that statute. I don't think it actually will, but I can very well be wrong. My understanding of that statute is extremely limited and doesn't contain such sort of broad political protections that they're talking about. We're talking about typically advocating for what you would generally consider an underrepresented liberal community. In the case of the most recent application of the law being popular was with a pro-homosexual, basically pro-homosexual advocacy in the late 1960s through the 1980s. And it's been pretty limited to that. And does that mean it's only limited to that? No, but there are concerns with how this works. I talked about them last show. We're going to let that go for now. We're going to let that go. We're going to keep going through the lawsuit. I'm going to try and not belabor that point too much. Chicken Tendy says cover Fannie. Fannie Willis. I want to watch the whole hearing. It's at least her whole testimony. I saw a couple different lengths of videos and it seems to be around 4 hours long. I definitely want to cover that. We'll probably start covering it tomorrow night. I don't even want to say it. We'll probably start covering it tomorrow night. Maybe something else over the weekend. Maybe something daytime. Damn it. I didn't want to say that. I don't want to get anybody into the mindset that that's there. We don't have our normal childcare tomorrow or this weekend. So it's like, it's going to be, I'm going to have less time to do shit like that than I normally do. And I don't normally have time. So I don't think that's going to happen, but if it can, I'll make an announcement. We'll make it work. But I do want to cover the Fannie Willis thing. My plan is to start it tomorrow night, if nothing else. We're going to finish up the Gina Carano lawsuit tonight because I hate splitting these subjects up. Really do. I've seen some stuff from the Fannie Willis interview, or the Fannie Willis examination doesn't look great for her, but I've only seen snippets, and the snippets are done in a way that is agendized. So who knows? Who knows? We'll get there tomorrow for sure. So, let's see. There was a comment in the chat right before I started, and I wanted to address it real quick because I don't think people understand something here. Can I find it real quick? I might have to paraphrase it. It doesn't matter. So it just basically says, given your loss of subs, do you regret engaging in a war with Eric July? First of all, No. Second of all, the sub loss on YouTube has a whole shitload to do with the fact that I stopped streaming full time on YouTube and stopped focusing on YouTube quite a bit. It was happening long before Eric July. It'll probably happen. Well, it's happened long after my war with Eric July faded. But I never engaged in a war with Eric July at all. I gave an opinion on other people that he was throwing shade at, saying, hey, I'm not ready to do that. I know these people, they didn't do the things he said. He said he had receipts for it, and he never has produced any of them. He's walked back a ton of the statements. And going to war is such a fucking stretch. Dude came into my chat shouting about having me on the show, and I was like, you can't just shoot a fat retard for being in your parking lot. When he was talking about ventilating Riley or whatever. And he got mad about it. We had a very cordial discussion. As often goes, I'll have a very cordial discussion with someone who I am at an adverse position with. And they have something called PRSR. PRSR. It was called Post-Ricada Stream Regret, where they have the show with me. They're like, oh, this is good. It's a nice conversation going well, very civil. And then when they wake up in the morning, when they do that, they got a bunch of like shit in their inbox. Like, dude, you look like a fucking retard. What are you doing? Why would you go online and say that shit? What the hell were you doing? Holy shit, brother. That looks really bad. They got all these messages and they go, oh God, that wasn't a good stream to be on. And I'm like, well, weren't you just honest? Because if you're honest, it's not a bad stream. Like, you just talked to, like, I asked you questions, you answer questions, you ask me questions, I answer questions. And I don't particularly think that that's the worst thing in the world, but some people have this post-Ricada stream regret, and they're like, oh my God, I look like a complete cunt. And so then they go into freak out mode and they start like talking shit afterwards. I don't know, man. It's happened several times before. It'll probably happen again in the future. I just try to talk to people, and my approach is always, let's just be honest. Let's have a conversation. It's not hostile. It's not aggressive. Several points during that conversation, I was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't talk about this thing. No, I'm going to talk about it. Like, are you sure? It doesn't seem like the best thing to talk about. I don't want to do that. No, ask me anything. Okay, here we go. So we talk about it, and then it becomes one of these points of contention. And I don't know why, because all I did was ask a question, and they answer. But hey, as for war, though, like, war is a strong word. I never wanted to talk about that shit anyway, because it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, so that's over and done. But like the YouTube subs have been pretty consistent since starting the Rumble agreement. And I knew that was coming. When I signed the agreement with Rumble, that was a big part of the consideration negotiations. Like, you guys realize if I do this, it's going to have a huge impact on this thing that I've built. And the idea is that I'd build the Rumble channel as the sort of alternative to the YouTube channel, which should become the primary focus. So my Rumble channel has been growing steadily the entire time. Pretty happy about that. So the answer to your question is, to the extent that I engaged in a war with Eric July, no, I don't regret it. And here's the most important part of that for me. I have had the same approach to people on the internet and these sort of situations the entire time. And the approach is this: you're not going to get me to disavow someone or to throw away someone that I have even a minimal online relationship with without a really good amount of evidence, because they just don't do that to people. And so if you come at me in some way demanding I do that, the answer is no. And if the question is, if you take one side and you gain subs or whatever, you're going to get money and subs, but you compromise a principle that's really important, or you take the other side and you hold on to the principle of, yeah, I'm not fucking over this other person just because it will benefit me. I hold on to the principle every time, to my own detriment, several times, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not a person who will compromise on that. I think chasing subs is one of the worst things you can do. You're going to watch your numbers. You're going to see them go up. You're going to see them go down. You're going to be tempted to like try and fix them or mitigate that. And just do your show. Always just do your show, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If it's no longer fun to do your show, or you hate like what's going on, or it's no longer beneficial, stop doing it, or keep doing it and try to get it back. That's up to you. For me, the show's, there are days that I don't like it, but on balance, the show's pretty damn good, and it's been quite a ride. So we're gonna keep riding it, calling it dirty names, and seeing what it does. So that being said, I don't want to sit and talk about other shit today too much. I do that a lot. This is a late stream, so we're gonna just get into it. We're gonna get into it like a $2 hooker. It'll probably be easy, but it won't be fun. Ragahora has a locals post. Oh, Rachel Dolezal. So I see the locals post. I read the link and pretty much figured what it's about. Yes, Rachel Dolezal is still an OnlyFans creator, but is now like a after school part-time educator or some shit like that. And in some sort of, Rachel Dolezal is not my favorite person. That's Drexel's favorite person. I think Rachel Dolezal has always been kind of hideous. Never found the appeal of her, even as like a freak show story. Just not an interesting topic for me. But you know what? If other people want to talk about her, go ahead. I don't give a shit. All right. Let's get into Fannie Willis's. God damn it. Let's get into Gina Carano's lawsuit. See if this thing picks up for Gina Carano. And of course, the interesting part's going to be to see how Disney has responded. And to my knowledge, there are not too many people who have talked in the way I have about anti-SLAPP being an issue here. We'll see how Disney responds. I think anti-SLAPP is on the table, mainly because the anti-SLAPP statute in California does not require a cause of action for defamation or anything specific. It's whether the underlying tort involves the right of free speech. And I think this one does. Specifically, Disney's right to exercise political speech. I know it's not a defamation suit. People keep missing this. So let's just preface this. I know it's not a defamation suit, and it doesn't have to be a defamation suit. Interestingly, they keep utilizing the defamation standards, the elements of defamation and the standards for approving defamation, specifically of a public figure. They keep using them because the underlying claims are defamatory in nature, which means they're probably exercising their free speech rights. Someone in the chat earlier said they didn't do defamation because it's past the statute of limitations, which it's 1 or 2 years in California for defamation. And yeah, it's past that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't sue for other reasons. It just means that defamation is off the table as a cause of action. But that's not how anti-SLAPP works. I would suspect that Disney's going to throw an anti-SLAPP motion up here. We'll see. I can be way wrong on this. Obviously, always. I'm not a California federal court practitioner. I'm just a humble internet asshole. So we'll see how it goes, but I think the answer is going to be really interesting. I know some people think this is going to settle out right away. I'm not so sure. Here's why. Here's why. Typically, most lawsuits settle in some capacity prior to going to trial. That's a statistical fact that's impossible to ignore. And there's a huge temptation for most parties to settle. Saves time, saves money. Look, you can compromise without saying you did anything wrong. You can pay it and make it go away, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here we have a different scenario, though. Ron McCarty says legal mindset shot down the anti-SLAPP angle. TLDR, no intent by Carano to silence Disney. Yeah, that's not how anti-SLAPP works. So good luck to his opinion there. But here we go. If you think this is going to settle, You're looking at this as if it's a normal lawsuit. But here you have two moneyed, motivated parties that have a statement to make. Remember that this lawsuit is brought by Gina Carano, but it's bought and paid for by Elon Musk and effectively Twitter, for the purpose of going after people who have been punished for their free speech on Twitter. Settling this case doesn't solve the public purpose of this case. Now, you cannot bring a lawsuit for that purpose, but if that purpose coincides with the actual injury, then of course you can utilize it that way. So if Elon is paying for this, if the point is to make an example of people utilizing free speech on Twitter and then getting punished for it by a major corporation or something like that, that doesn't sound like a settlement case. What benefit is there to settle? Now, of course, there is a wrinkle here, and I'll cover it really quickly so people don't get the wrong impression. Yes, Elon Musk can pay for Gina Carano's lawsuit. He can do that. Anybody can pay for anybody's lawsuit. But what you cannot do is utilize that payment as a means to interfere with the attorney-client relationship. So Elon Musk can pay Gina Carano's lawyers, and ostensibly and presumably those lawyers will still only take direction from Gina Carano. They will advocate in her best interest in all matters. Is that practically true? Harder to say. It's supposed to be, but if Elon Musk is paying your bills, are you really as interested in Gina Carano's interests as you are Elon Musk? And that's the argument. You'll never know. The attorneys aren't going to be like, oh yeah, fuck Gina Carano. Yeah, Elon Musk is paying us, so we don't care. No, they're still going to be acting in her best interest, and probably sincerely so. But if they advocate for settling, and Elon's got a clear intention to utilize them as a, sort of a launch pad to file all these suits against all these people, maybe the advocacy for settling isn't as hard as they would have otherwise done. But maybe it is. But the question is not, Elon Musk cannot control this lawsuit under the ethical rules around third-party payment. Still has to be directed by Gina Carano, still has to be directed by her attorney-client relationship, and that must remain sacred and undisturbed. So with that, there are possible secondary and tertiary influences that can creep in, but it'll still be at Gina Carano's direction and discretion. So that's how that works. She may be less motivated to settle because she isn't paying the bill. And that can work hand in hand with the other interests. She may also want to go after Disney because of what they've done for her, and she's now part of the conservative alternative media movement. And great, that can be a motivating factor to not settle as well. I think there's a lot of reasons to not settle this case, to take it all the way to trial if you can. Settlement is not, I think, the most pressing issue. I think anti-SLAPP or just a general motion to dismiss are the big pressing issues. And then, if they get past that, they're going to have a tough time proving this out at trial. Maybe. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. By the way, for everybody in the chat telling me to talk about Fani Willis, that's tomorrow, guys. We're going to talk about Fani Willis tomorrow. All right. With that, let's get into this lawsuit. I should say really quickly as we go, there's the sponsor of the show today, and every day that isn't actually sponsored specifically, is recadalaw.locals.com. My locals page is what makes a lot of these streams possible. People coming in and supporting on locals is phenomenal. It gives me the flexibility to kind of do some of this stuff, and locals will have more content coming soon. So check it out if you choose. Wait for new content to be announced and actually start happening on there if you choose. Whatever you want. To my local subscribers, you guys are the best community online. Thank you for what you do. recadalaw.locals.com. All right, here we go. Carano endures more online bullying. So if you remember where we were, Gina Carano was being bullied online. Now, I get the online bullying thing, but Disney isn't doing the bullying. This is going to go towards damages. If Carano was damaged by Disney's actions and statements, this would be part of it. But this happens prior to the firing, so I'm not sure it's going to be super helpful on this front. Or no. Sorry. I think it was after the firing. It's kind of tough on the timeline. This is going to be to prove out damages. You know, actions by non-parties don't have direct impact on most elements. Like, this isn't going to be part of her unlawful termination, but it can be evidence of one of the elements in some ways. Oftentimes it's damage. If she's enduring a bunch of online bullying and nastiness from a community because of how Disney treated her, something Disney said, you know, that can go towards showing that she's been harmed quantifiably. So Carano was also criticized for her posts following the November 2020 elections. November 5th, 2020, Carano made the following posts that expressed the sentiments of many across the country regarding how the 2020 elections were conducted during the COVID panic. She says, "We need to clean up the election process so we're not left feeling the way we do today. Put laws in place that protect us against voter fraud, investigate every state, film the counting, flush out the fake votes, require ID, monster, make voter fraud end in 2020, fix the system, American flag." We have this issue. You're telling us over and over that Gina Carano is an outspoken person on Twitter and enduring abuse at the hands of her own statements, and I'm not sure how that helps your case here. Like, this actually, it waters down the idea that Disney's commentary or criticisms or termination of Gina Carano gets to the bullying aspect. Now, that doesn't matter. I think what they're trying to establish here is that it is political opinion based, and that's fine. But you're still mitigating the damages because you're saying that the damage that's being done is a result of her own statements, not what Disney does. The social media backlash from those who do not share Carano's political perspective was swift and matched with incivility, or matched the incivility responding to her earlier posts. For example, one started with name calling. Guys, I mean, come on. Has anybody thought about how like fucking weak this looks? Phil Jimenez says, "Oh, you sad, pathetic idiot." Oh my God. Someone called Gina Carano a sad, pathetic idiot. It's the end of the world. That, like, it started with name calling. Another suggested more drastic action against Carano because users did not agree with Carano's sentiments. Oh shit. There's a gift that says, well, we're just going to have to kill her. It's live view from the Mandalorian writer's room. Cliff the story fella. You know what? Like, I hate fucking being an apologist for this shit, but that's not suggesting to kill Gina Carano. That's saying that the Mandalorian writer's room are going to kill Gina Carano, typically hyperbolic for terminating her employment or whatever, separating her from the show. Maybe literally kill the character Cara Dune, which actually makes a lot of sense in context of what's going on. This hyperbolic shit, this is not, look, we've all been through a little online bullying. This is not bad at all. And it makes the position look fucking weak, in my opinion. And then there were more false claims of racism as noted in the following post. Just a beefy boy, XXX NSFW. Oh my God. No one needs to go. Based on that Twitter handle, I am very terrified of Beefy Bo and whatever content is there that doesn't look good. Just say you don't like it when black people vote and go. When a Republican, whatever, talks about voter fraud, they're just too mad. They're just mad too many people of colors are voting. So this is obviously about voter ID in the context of that tweet. This is about voter ID. Voter fraud, yes. I guess, but it's voter ID is the triggering point for racism and black people because liberals do not believe that black people can actually get an ID. They have so little faith. They have so little faith in black people's ability to do anything that they don't believe they can get an ID or a driver's license. So that's what they're talking about here. But still, they say it's false claims of racism. Just say you don't like it when black people vote. Actually, doesn't say don't like black people at all. So they're really overextending here, in my opinion. I don't see why you would do this. As she explained, Carano was not trying to be divisive. Respected the right of all Americans to vote for whomever they choose. God damn it. Trying not to be tired today. But here's the deal. Obviously, voter ID is not racist. Every country on earth, pretty much except for the United States, has an identification requirement. We actually, it's a crippling part of our freedom in our voting process that it's hard to get people to be required to present some sort of identification or voting permission because we say, no, we actually don't want the government tracking your vote. We don't want anything at all happening in regards to the government knowing how you voted or being able to hold that vote against you. That is a protection for us. But also, there's a way to do voter ID without it tracing back to the nature of your vote or the outcome of your vote. And that's important because we need to be able to verify who's walking up and showing up at the fucking polls. And holy shit. My air conditioner was really fucking loud. I don't know if Natasha Very Good says, what's that beeping? Yeah, it's my air conditioner. Holy fuck. That was loud as hell. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes when it gets cold, the fan has a high-pitched whine. So, but yeah, so I got it. Like, it's not racist to have voter ID. It's really not. And it's silly how the world treats the American voter ID requirement because the American system is still one of the most highly protected voting systems in the world, aside from all the fraud and shit like that. But I mean, protecting your vote and how you vote and the ability to trace a particular ballot back to you is such a boon to American privacy. It is a bane to vote security because you cannot trace a vote or a ballot to a person unless it's absentee. And even then it's difficult because of the way the counting process goes. They don't want the government to know who submitted a vote for whom, because if there is a blood cycle and a regime change, if you voted for the wrong person, you die. We don't want that. So to be very clear, voter ID is not racist. However, it is commonly accused of being a racist idea, racist principle that's applied. So Rory THM says, current thoughts to Gina Carano. She responds, I feel nothing but love for my fellow Americans, no matter who they felt in their heart they needed to vote for. Great. Cool. None of these tweets have to do with anything. None of them do. At no point did defendants defend Carano. They don't have a duty to defend Carano, by the way. She's literally a contract worker. She's not even employed by Disney officially. But rather, they continued to express dismay that Carano's political views did not match what they expected from their stars. So, here we get back into this problem with the anti-SLAPP. If they're expressing dismay over political views that do not match with what they expect, you're engaging in speech that is political in nature from Disney, which is highly protected, just like Carano's would be. The anti-SLAPP is as much to protect Disney as it is to protect Carano on the political speech front. And that's where the problems are going to be with this lawsuit, in my opinion. Yet during all of this, as noted above, the fan reaction to her appearance in season 2, The Mandalorian, was a huge success. Great. Cool. I actually don't think maybe I'm an idiot. I think the success of Gina Carano, as far as The Mandalorian and the fan reaction goes, is that The Mandalorian attracted the right-wing viewer as much as it attracted the liberal viewer. It wasn't woke. It was just Star Wars. People said it was good. I don't know if that's actually true, but at least it started out that way. It's Star Wars, and it was a little bit more accessible to people. So in this realm, in this world of shit movies and shit spin-off movies happening, people went, oh wow, this is Star Wars. It doesn't hate me for my political opinions. I'll be here. Gina Carano's in it. It's kind of cool. Other people are in it. Kind of cool. So they went with that, and then you're just opening up the floodgates to the other half of the country, which is why political discrimination in entertainment has always fucking baffled me. Because if you are just liberal or just conservative, you've alienated half the country from your potential customer base. To me, that's stupid, but hey, I don't run these companies. Here we go. Defendants strike again, even with Carano's star rising. Defendants continue to harbor animosity against Carano for her political beliefs. No. On January 8th, Carano was inadvertently sent an email by Lynn Hale of Lucasfilm explaining that defendants were consumed with some on social media calling for Disney to fire Carano. They monitored a hashtag, meaning a string of related posts calling on Disney to fire Gina Carano. All right. Here we go, guys. I have a thought exercise for you. Let's assume arguendo that firing Gina Carano because she's a conservative is illegal. If Disney is suppressing Gina Carano's speech, let's assume that under California law, that's illegal to fire her for that. Now, let's also assume that Gina Carano is conservative. And let's finally assume that Disney is receiving a bunch of emails from liberals saying, fire Gina Carano. You see a bunch of tweets and a trending hashtag that says, hashtag fire Gina Carano. Can Disney fire Gina Carano for the fan and consumer backlash? Or does that make it automatically firing based on her political beliefs? Now, let's say Disney is politically neutral, which is not true here, but let's say it is. So if Disney is a neutral arbiter and is literally and legitimately responding to fan backlash, can they fire Gina Carano even though the fan backlash is based on Gina Carano's political speech? What do you do? What do you do here? That's a big problem for Gina Carano. So listen, I will say 1,000,000%. I believe Disney fired Gina Carano because of her political speech. Of course they did. But if Disney can plausibly assert that there was a massive backlash campaign against one of their stars, one of their cause celeb of the show, one of the features of the show, and they thought, shit, our model is literally voluntary subscription based. And if this fan backlash is real, whatever the reason at all, we do not want to start losing a bunch of monthly subscribers because they don't like this person for whatever reason. Let's say Disney can claim or assert that they're neutral on Carano's stance, but hostile towards the backlash, and that backlash influences their decision. If they have a plausible reason to fire Gina Carano that's not based on the political speech specifically, but is based on literally the revenue generating arm of Disney, which is customer subscriptions, Gina has a big problem. Natasha Very Good says he'll talk about fanning next week. Literally tomorrow. We'll be doing Fannie Willis. I wanted to finish this shit up before we get there. Okay. On January 8th, 2021. Inadvertently. Yeah. Hale's email was the most recent in a string of emails that began with Disney CEO Chapek's statement on the events of January 6th. The significant backlash to Chapek's statement, including harsh criticism of Disney for doing business with China, given the country's extensive human rights abuses and internment camps for the indigenous Uyghur people. No one cares about the Uyghurs. Stop pretending to care about the Uyghurs. Ragahora says, I disagree with free speech as cause for the suits. Elon's funding his offer was to anyone who lost a job based on the discriminatory hiring practices recently made public with race-based quotas, etc. Well, I don't think Gina Carano lost a lawsuit because of race-based quotas. That doesn't sound accurate to me. That doesn't sound like what I read, but maybe it is. That doesn't sound accurate at all. Here we go. Yet very quickly, the focus of the emails turned to Carano as some on social media chose to insert calls to fire Carano in response to Chapek's online statement. Rather than focus on the criticism of Disney's business dealings with China, Disney instead was going to prepare a report on Carano. I gotta say, guys, from a pure numbers standpoint, doing business in China is more profitable for Disney than having Gina Carano employed. Like, it's got to be orders of magnitude more profitable, but maybe I'm incorrect there. Disney instead was going to prepare a report on Carano, which Hale recommended, quote, start by saying that she didn't do anything to support the riots on DC. Of course, Carano had nothing to do with the events of January 6th. Wait, so she didn't do anything to support the riots on DC? So they're not going after that political opinion, I guess. Indiana the Dog says, if I get a large face tattoo of a Confederate flag as a Hooters server, I get fired because of that face tattoo, which is off-putting customers. The nature of the tattoo can be secondary. Yeah, you would have to show that it's only Confederate flags that get fired. If other flag face tattoos didn't, there you go. Indiana the Dog, you're not a Hooters employee. I'm going to ignore that. Written Word says, did he just ignore Legal Mindset's response? Written Word. Did Legal Mindset respond to something? Guys, I don't know if you noticed, like, I don't watch any other shit at all. I don't watch Legal Mindset's commentary or content. I don't watch any of my friends' commentary or content. We talk about the same stuff and I want my own opinions. Occasionally, if there's something someone explains to me is really valuable, I might go look, but typically speaking, I'm not watching anybody's stuff on anything. So if Mindset responded, I legit don't know. Sorry, it's not my hobby or pastime. He responded to me, that's all. Great. I'd be curious what he said, sort of, but not really. It doesn't impact or influence my analysis of this in the slightest. It was apparent that Chapek and his team were looking for ways to deflect from his failed leadership as Disney CEO. First of all, that's not illegal or unlawful. A pattern that included his obsession with an ultimate termination of Carano. Wait, why did Chapek have an obsession with terminating Carano, but he couldn't pull it off? Like, what was stopping him? His subsequent failings in Disney's contract dispute with Scarlett Johansson in July 2021, and political missteps in his criticism of Florida's parental rights and education law, all leading to his termination in November 2022. Well, yes, I would say all those do, except maybe I don't think the Carano thing led to his termination at all. I don't think Bob Chapek's quote-unquote obsession with terminating Gina Carano violated companies' politics or put them on in a particular place of hot water, but I could be wrong. Literal Queen 1978 says, wouldn't this whole suit all come down to the terms of her contract, specifically the morals clause? Maybe. But I think what we should assume for the most part right now is that they do not have a sufficient morals clause to protect from the suit. We'll have to wait for the answer. Ron McCarty says he put out a vid yesterday. Okay, here's what I'll do. Probably not watch it, but maybe I will. I don't know. Like, I wish I could express to you how little time I have for that type of shit. I cheekily responded that I got an F in the ranking on this, and wanted to include that to acknowledge that someone had made me wear that and it's funny to me, but people seem to want me to cover the suit, so that's what I'm doing. And I disagree with some of the statements that are being made about the suit that I've heard, but I don't like the response. I'd only read half the suit so far, so we're reading the other half now. January 12th, 2021, Carano posted an interview she gave where she was asked about the controversy surrounding her social media posts. An interview that clearly demonstrates that she was not seeking to denigrate anyone, but chose to speak up because there was a large group of people that were being silenced and that conversations were not happening. Oh, God, the way people word shit. And because of her belief that discussion is good, she was not seeking a political platform, but believed that discussing issues makes everyone better. She also understands that simply speaking up made her a, quote, punching bag. Here you go. Hope you enjoy listening to this interview. With all the disinformation, it's nice to hear from someone's own mouth. And look, a lot of people like hearing from Gina Carano's mouth. Some would say it's a nice mouth. Ragahora has an Elon tweet. He says that's the basis for offering lawsuit support. Let me pull it up real quick. Thank you for sharing that. Giggity. Pull that up. An anonymous source just sent me this from Disney. It is mandatory institutionalized racism and sexism. Full racist, sexist, etc. discriminatory set of laws enforced by Disney's DEI Gestapo. Wait, there's more. That doesn't say anything about the lawsuit, though. So I don't think that's actually, I don't know. I'm going to disagree. There was a specific tweet calling for people to submit their lawsuit ideas. So I'm not going to accept what you state about that. So here we go. So this is an interview with the Federalist, Gina Carano interview. The Mandalorian star takes Federalist behind the scenes of her life in politics. All of this occurred while Lucasfilm was publicly supporting Christina Ariel and her declaration that all white people are racist. Again, how do we get past this? Disney is not required to take any political position, support or deny support to any political position, and they're not actually required to be consistent in their support of any particular political position or non-support. What Disney cannot do, maybe under the California law, is fire people of one particular political position. Maybe. And I don't think that's actually accurate to how the law is applied. Indeed, defendants even publicly claim that people should speak their mind based on their conscience. Yes, people. Of course, when Carano did so, defendants targeted her because her conscience did not align with their ideology. The Star Wars official Twitter says, there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. Martin Luther King Jr., January 8th. Why didn't you wait till February, you fucking racist? But anyway, so they post a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. Great. Cool. Ron McCarty says the complaint is attempting to show a double standard. Yeah. But I hope you guys understand that double standard is not illegal. Double standards are not illegal. If termination or hiring practices are based entirely on race, or race, national origin, color, whatever it is, political opinion in this case, to the point where it is specifically limited to these things, and that's the sole cause of the termination, that's when you get to recovery. But in this case, there are other potential reasons that they could have terminated Gina Carano, and I don't know that they've indicated anywhere where other people who are similarly situated to her are fired for their political beliefs. On February 10th, 2021, Carano made the following post in light of the trending hashtag Fire Gina Carano to highlight the injustice of the mob seeking to destroy someone simply because of their political beliefs. And again, I believe this too. I agree with Gina Carano. She says, she makes this post, and this is the offending post ultimately, right? It says, she has shared this post. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Quote, because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? That even rhyme with Jews, end quote. So that's Gina Carano tweeting this thing out. Or actually, this is an Instagram story, reel, whatever it is, a temporary Instagram story based on the outlook here. That's what that appears to be. Carano made no mention of a political party or a particular point of view and compared no one or group of people to the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Rather, she noted the danger that arises when one point of view is singled out for harassment. Okay, does she have commentary on this? I seem to recall commentary, but maybe I'm dumb. I don't know what that says. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I thought there's more commentary added to it, but I could be wrong. Nevertheless, the apoplectic response from some on social media has been well documented and shows a gross. This God. Look, I get it. I do. But can we not use the fucking language of the left in every dripping comment in this lawsuit? Every fucking everything is the language of the left. It's gross. Okay, cool. Got it. Fantastic. Gross overreaction and intentional smear campaign against Carano. Indeed, one analysis of the social media events of February 10th, 2021 concludes, quote, Carano's contested posts can be fairly critiqued as heavy-handed. Still, evidence has not come forth that Carano in any way emitted an iota of the hate or vitriol that was projected onto her by the persecution mob. This is quoting Jeremy Lee Quinn. That's hearsay, but okay. Because they're trying to use the words of that guy to prove that this is true. Indeed, the Auschwitz Museum even notes that the persecution of the Jewish people began long before the concentration camps, a concept that defendants refused to acknowledge even as they twisted and misrepresented Carano's post. Okay, though. Ugh. Auschwitz Memorial. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Say, when we look at Auschwitz, we see the end of the process. It's important to remember the Holocaust actually did not start from gas chambers. This hatred gradually developed from words, stereotypes, and prejudice through legal exclusion, dehumanization, and escalating violence. All right. Even Carano's male co-star, the late Carl Weathers, he did, y'all. He did. Posted the exact same message, but no action was taken against him, nor was Weathers accused by defendants of denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identity. So here we go. So it's not the exact same, though, is it? First of all, it's years apart. Second of all, it's not the same message. She posted a picture. He's got a chat here. His message says, who gets to decide what is appropriate for me or my child to read? The Nazis knew how to both control and to eradicate. Interesting playbook to emulate. What's next? Who's next? Hashtag be peace. That's not any... Guys, that's not anywhere near the same fucking message at all. What the hell is that? That's not an analog to Gina's message or like picture, GIF, or meme, or whatever the fuck that was. That's not even close. Way different subject matter. In fact, this could just as easily be a liberal in 2023 talking about banning books by conservatives in 2023. It might be. Actually, I don't know if Carl Weathers was liberal or conservative, but this tweet or this Instagram post or tweet or whatever it is could just as easily be that as it could be a sentiment expressed by Gina Carano. You're just splitting semantics? No, I'm not. They are. They're trying to analogize Carl Weathers' tweet to Gina Carano's, and they're not the same thing at all. They're not the same. We also don't know if Carl Weathers had actually received some email saying, hey, brother, knock that off. Carl Weathers was killed for this tweet. So he's reposting Barbara Hershey and says, it didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party controlling the message, one party deciding what is truth, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition, one party dividing citizens into us and them and calling on their supporters to harass them. So when good people turned a blind eye and let it happen. I agree. Like, yes, not quite the same sentiment, closer, but which party? Defendants' disparate treatment of Weathers further demonstrates their discrimination against Carano on the basis of her sex and our political beliefs. Why? Because he's black, so it's not based on race. Indeed, when he made the same generic statement, Weathers' comments were interpreted to attack Republicans, so he was given a pass by defendants. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't that what I just said? That's funny, right? Huh. So Carl Weathers' post, tweet, whatever, was interpreted to attack Republicans who are quote unquote censoring books from schools in 2023. I bet it wasn't interpreted to attack Republicans. I bet it was to attack Republicans on that issue, even if he's Republican. Weird. I haven't read this, so shocker. Yet defendants, rather than come to Carano's defense, Disney has no duty of care to defend Carano from her public statements. This is over and over and over. We have to address this. Gina Carano is a contract worker for Disney, not a Disney employee, not a Disney board member, not anyone who's entitled to any sort of protection for her statements online from Disney. They can choose to intervene. They can do those things, but they don't have to. They don't owe her anything. They proved her point by joining the unhinged mob and not just terminating Carano for the views expressed in her posts, but accusing her of the very things she fought against, the denigration of other people. Again, so, like, I know that this sucks to say, but so, here's the weird thing. Let's just get this out there. You can say, I don't like people who denigrate other people and then denigrate other people the same day. It's not legally relevant to the question of political orientation or anything like that. Contrary to defendant's statement, at no point was Carano denigrating people based on their cultural and religious identities, as Lucasfilm claimed. Rather, she was doing just the opposite, opposing such denigration, targeting of people just because they hold different beliefs. Now, this matters if you're doing a breach of contract claim and they've cited the reason for the breach of contract, which they don't normally do, as this thing, and you get to go against that. But otherwise, it's not going to really matter here. In fact, Carano constantly called for respect and decency when speaking with people, and for respect and decency to be shown, as she did when discussing important public issues. She's always held herself out as a person of integrity, and those she worked with can attest to this. She always treated everyone she met with kindness and compassion, as the Mandalorian staff can confirm. Nothing could be more inclusive or representative of the values Chapek claims defendants stand for. But Chapek was fired. So apparently they don't stand for that. Defendants did not even have the courtesy to inform Carano of her termination in person before announcing it to the press. Again, no duty of care to do this. Nothing says that they have to tell her in person. Ironically, Carano first learned of her termination by reading about it on social media. Lots of that going around. They don't have an obligation to tell you of your termination. Should they? Yes, probably. But do they have to? No. Very weird. As a result of defendant's statement, Carano was inundated with stalkers and media hounding her at home. It became so bad that she justifiably feared for her personal safety. We've got a temporal problem here. We've got a very big temporal problem. They've been telling us this whole lawsuit how Gina Carano's been attacked by mob after mob after mob, right? For her tweets, for her posts, for whatever. They keep saying Disney didn't come to her defense. Okay, they didn't. They eventually terminated her, and she's still got an angry mob after her. Well, are they mad because of the new thing that Disney terminated her for? Are they mad because of the other stuff? What is it? What are they mad at? We don't know. But if you spend half the complaint establishing that people are coming after Gina Carano for her political beliefs, and you go, Disney fired her, therefore people came after Gina Carano, you've fucking hamstringed your entire basis for damages on this claim. That's a problem. In addition to being terminated from her role on The Mandalorian, defendants canceled production of Rangers of the New Republic, refusing to hire her even though she had been told the role was hers. Look, I'm going to get real uncomfortable with people here. We'll do this. A contract is a mutual meeting of the minds on terms, an exchange of value for value. In most cases these days, a contract now is an exchange of a promise that is valuable for a promise that is valuable. I will come to your house and I will make you a table. You will pay me $1,000 to make the table. You'll buy the materials. I will provide the labor. Done. There you go. Very simple contract, right? If I say, I promise I will make you a table, and I never make you a table, is that a violation of a contract? No. Now, here's the weird rub. If I say, look, you tell me you're my employee, for example, or you're my contract worker. You say, I want to move to Maine. Look, please don't move to Maine. I've actually promised a promotion, but it requires you to stay here. I promise that you are going to have double your salary. And so you can go ahead and use that however you want. Like, I know you're planning on moving to Maine, but why don't you invest that back here? And so the person goes, holy shit, my salary is going to double. I don't have to go to Maine. I'm going to build an extension on my house. I'm going to do this thing and this thing and this thing. And then I go, lols, just kidding. I'm not promoting you. And you go, but you promised to. This is maybe an instance of what's called promissory estoppel. Now, that's when you make a promise that is understood to be binding, and the plaintiff, who will eventually sue, acts in detrimental reliance on the promise. So I say, look, I'm going to double your salary. Stay here. Don't do that. Build an addition to your house. Get extra space. Whatever you need to do. Buy another one. And then they go and act. They're like, oh, yeah, they promised me I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. Now, all of this has to be foreseeable. It has to be reasonable and expected. I can't just say, yeah, I'm going to give you $5. And they're like, oh my God, they're going to give me $5. It's going to resolve all my financial problems in history. I'm going to go take out a second mortgage or whatever. That's not the same thing. But they canceled Rangers of the New Republic. She doesn't have a contract. They don't owe her shit. They don't owe her a fucking thing on this because they didn't make the show, and they told her the role was hers, but did she act? This is what Gina has to show damages here and to fulfill the element. Did Gina act in firm reliance on this promise? Did she turn down other roles? What did she do? How did she act in reliance on Disney's promise to her detriment? She can't show that. She fails that claim right out. Further, prior to her termination, Carano had been told by Jon Favreau she was to be part of a series of new Star Wars movies based on various Star Wars Disney Plus series to be released in theaters in the near future. A group of movies which includes a recently announced movie based on The Mandalorian. Again, it's not promissory estoppel if she doesn't act in reliance on the promise. And in this case, I'm not even sure that it's a promise that can be fulfilled. You're going to be this thing. Oh, no, you're not. To this day, when someone wishes to attack Carano's appearance at any event, they frequently cite defendant's statement at the time of her termination and repeat the false accusation that Carano denigrated people based on their cultural and religious identities. Maybe a false accusation, but is it a fact or is it an opinion? Tough questions. Very tough questions. Such decisions, including the harassment, targeting, termination, and post-termination smear campaign. Okay, the harassment and targeting campaign were not actually Gina Carano's. Termination and Disney's. Termination, Disney. Post-termination smear campaign, is that Disney, really? They posted what? One post? People responded to it over and over and over. Were made with the knowledge and approval of those who qualified as, quote, an officer, director, or managing agent of each defendant, California Civil Code 3294. So the reason you have this is you need to show these are the actions of companies through their agents in their employment capacity, rather than just the actions of assholes. Because if it's just the action of an asshole, you're not going to get a California business code recovery. You're going to have to go for personal recovery, which is harder. So you want to attach these people to Disney, say these people are part of Disney. They're giving an official statement or announcement or sentiment on this thing, and that thing is causing me harm. Does that make her win? No, not at all. Ragahora says, try this. Last time it only linked to the retweet instead of surrounding tweets. Work with Safari, Firefox. VSync says there should be eggshell skull doctrine when it comes to detrimental reliance. Sufficient cause of action when a business claims hours they're not actually open. You don't know what I was counting on. I don't know what you're counting on. That's true. That's true. All right, guys, we are going to switch to Rumble. We're going to flip over to Rumble exclusively. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Sorry the show was an hour later. I was trying to be home earlier to get the show set up, get everything done, but we got delayed. We were not at home. Rumble does not have an easy way to make a mobile show, and neither does StreamYard. And since I dual broadcast to Rumble and YouTube, I really need to be able to mobily make a multi-stream. It doesn't work very well. If I'm just streaming on Rumble, it'll be just fine. So we'll see if we can get that done sometime soon. But for now, it makes it hard to set that show up, and I fucking hate that. So I got home, immediately set up the show, and made the announcements. It was a little bit before the normal show start, but it's late. I hate that. I really do fucking hate that. So I'm sorry about that. Thank you for coming over and watching. We are going to move to Rumble exclusively. If you are on YouTube, Rumble exclusive link is in the chat. It's pinned. It's also in the description of the stream tonight on YouTube. Come hang out and finish this suit as best we can. We've got 21 pages to go. Some of them may be bullshit, like a bunch of tweets or signature pages or whatever. We're going to try and get through those. And then we will hopefully be on Fannie Willis tomorrow, which is what Nathan Wade said. VSync says, for lack of a nail, the horse was lost. If you promise me a nail, you're responsible for my kingdom. Fair is fair. That's not how promissory estoppel works in the United States. Sorry. All right, guys. I'll catch you over on Rumble exclusively. YouTube. Come check out a better alternative. We'll see you soon. And then after we flip over, I'm going to go to the bathroom. But see you in just a second. Peace. Peace.